Wednesday, April 5th, we'll be in Richmond. And you know what we're doing there? Breakfast with Dave Brat, his third annual Breakfast with Brat, with special guest, Congressman Trey Gowdy. Now, is that going to be a lot of fun, Mike, or what? We're going to be right there. Congressman Dave Brat, by the way, he cordially invites you all to attend Breakfast with Dave Brat. Now, how cool is that? All you have to do is go to his website for more information, davebrat.com, events breakfast, davebrat.com. Congressman Trey Gowdy, come to town for Dave Brat and Breakfast for Dave Brat. Third annual, I wouldn't miss it. I'm going. Joining us now, Dave Brat, Congressman, 7th District. Well, somebody texted me from Texas and said, we don't know what the districts are. What's the area? Give us a clue. Okay, so Dave Brat, 7th District Republican. That represents Central Virginia, basically the Richmond, Hanover, some of this and that, New Kent County and all this stuff. So basically the Central Virginia area is Dave Brat. He's a Republican. He's a member of the Freedom Caucus. And he's one of the people who derailed. I shouldn't say that, right? I should say he's one of the people that wanted better clarification. How's that for politically correctness? Wanted better clarification on crony care. And that went down in flames. Joining us now to explain the whole thing, Congressman Dave Brat. Congressman, good to have you, man.
Hey, John, great to be on. Thanks so much.
So, okay, you've been getting hammered. One of your Freedom Caucus members resigned, Ted Poe. He resigned. He's like, these guys are obstructionists. I'm out. Okay, explain what happened. Where do we go from here, Dave Brat?
Yeah, well, the obstructionist and we can't get to yes and all that is a total fiction, and I always deal in the truth like you do. And for the listeners out there, here's your evidence. Everyone is on my Facebook saying, Dave, what have you guys been doing for the past 6 years? What have you been doing? And you want to know what we've been doing for 6 to 7 years? We passed 50 bills to repeal Obamacare. That's what we've been doing. That was the talking point. That's what we all ran on. That's what we campaigned on. We put on the floor 50 times. Trump said that the other day in our meeting. He says, it's almost a little embarrassing. You guys voted so many times to repeal Obamacare. We all got to yes 50 times. We got to yes 50 times. Now, a new bill emerged 3 weeks ago that does not repeal Obamacare and leaves the entire federal structure in place, leaves the insurance regs so the price can't come down. You can't go out and shop for health care for a low-priced product. It still has all the regs in that require this, that, and the other thing, and we all ran against that. And so we just held firm on principle, and then we want Trump to succeed and his agenda to succeed. And so we were compromising even within that flawed system. We're okay, right? We're okay with pre-existing conditions, having high-risk pools at the state level to take care of people with serious illness. So we're compromising on the safety net side. But I think the compromise ends when it comes to we're not going to give up free markets for health insurance. And why is that, right? Why do you need free markets in health insurance and health care and hospitals and doctors, et cetera? Because if you all remember, the last time the federal government got involved in regulating mortgages, all well-intended, right? Everybody should have a house. Everyone should have coverage. Everyone should have a mortgage. So let's make up these liar loans and everything. And then the housing market collapses. That's what happens when the federal government starts running things. And we got a financial crisis that's lasted us a decade. So some of us made very simple promises to our people that I cannot vote for a federally run healthcare system. And that's what was up for a vote. And a lot of us couldn't vote for that unless we had some assurances that we're going to get free markets in health insurance so people can have a price that they can afford again. And that's the bottom line is the bill still had prices going up 15 to 20% until 2020, 3 years from now. And that's not what the Trump supporters voted for. When he said repeal, we all know what it meant. It meant repeal.
Well, there wasn't a repeal. And look, I mean, you're right, Congressman, and I definitely went with you on it. By the way, 5, get this, of the Congress people that I cover every day because they're in our listening area, 5 of them voted no. Congressman Dave Brat, who's with us now, Congressman Rob Whitman, Congressman Tom Garrett, that's 3, Congresswoman Barbara Comstock, I never agree with her on anything. She votes no, abandoned her big buddy Paul Ryan. Congressman Walter Jones, Northeast North Carolina. Look, when that many people vote no, it's just a bad bill. I got to tell you, it's just too many good people voting no. So, look, let me just ask you this.
Well, and hey, John, I'll just say with respect to that's never covered, right? We had several House Freedom Caucus members, and it wasn't all, right? It may not have even been half. It was right in that ballpark. But there were way more of the moderate Democrats that were going to bolt on that bill than there were from the House Freedom Caucus, right? But the leadership never wants to pin the blame on the vulnerable members.
Right.
And
that's
so
right.
It's always back to the conservative members in the conservative party, which is kind of ironic that we take the heat for standing up for our own principles when we promised 50 times to repeal and put the bill in. So you're right. There was a broad swath of folks, and that's why they pulled the vote.
All right, I got a question here from George in Newport News who says, I was watching Meet the Press on Sunday, and they said that members of the Freedom Caucus can do what they want because they're from comfortably red areas. Can you please ask the congressman what that means?
Yeah, so and Meet the Press, right? So take everything within the context. They don't like conservative Republicans and free market people. But what it means is they think we're taking an easy vote, and there's some idea that we're doing grandstanding, et cetera. The easy vote here was a yes vote, right? That was the easy vote. We all wanted to get to yes because we wanted to support President Trump and his agenda, et cetera. But when you're trying to navigate and compromise within a federally run system, right? No one agreed to that. And so it's incumbent on leadership to explain, why did we vote yes on a bill 50 times to repeal, and then a new bill comes up 3 weeks to go, right? And in Paul Ryan's Better Way agenda, the fifth sentence was, we're going to repeal Obamacare, right? It didn't say anything in there, we're going to replace it with a federally run system.
Right.
And so 3 weeks ago it comes out, and then just so people know, the Senate wasn't going to vote for this bill either, and they weren't even going to take the bill up for a month. And so all of this matters, right? So those shows are saying, oh, these guys are showboating, they're in comfortable seats, and that's why they do what they do. No, this was a very, very hard principled vote for us to take. And we did it because we promised the American people that this is what we would do, and we're holding true to that.
Well, look, you're right. You voted for repeal over 50 times when it didn't matter, because now a lot of people are saying this was basically, for many members or for the speaker, somebody, it was kind of a showboat vote, because when push came to shove, you didn't even put that forward again. That's what you ran on. And so instead, and you got to remember, when this thing was first rolled out, this wasn't any 72-month plan. I mean, they concocted this in 3 weeks. It was behind closed doors. Nobody could see it till they finally rolled it out. Let me read this text from George in Hanover. It says, please tell Dr. Brat we are proud of him for taking an uncomfortable stance and standing for something. So, okay, so now the president says, and look, I don't even think this thing should ever come up. I think Paul Ryan, and I know you can't comment on this, but I think the speaker went to him. He sold the president a bill of goods he said he could deliver. He never had a shot at this because it was a bad bill, period. So now what happens?
Yeah, well, and I agree with you there, right? This is the wonky bill, right? The healthcare, you got to be a policy analyst, wonk with Excel spreadsheets in your head to get everything that's going on here. And so President Trump just comes in, but where is everything President Trump promised in this bill, right? Where's the shopping across state lines, the lower costs, the forgotten man, and the biggest deal, he's going to drain the swamp and take fire on the bureaucratic state. Well, how do you do that? How do you clean the swamp when you give 1/6 of the economy, healthcare, 1/6, one in every $6 in our government spending is going to be run by cronies and special interests and the big insurance companies, et cetera, who wrote the bill, right? So this, you can tell, this was not a Trump-inspired bill. You can tell the difference, right? And so this did not have those features, and that may be one of the reasons it went down. It didn't have enough of that populist spirit that Trump was so enthusiastic about, and that drew all those crowds and all the applause, right?
It
He
was.
said, I'm going to repeal Obamacare. and everyone went crazy. And so, unfortunately, right, he was given a bill that said we would eventually repeal it in 3 steps. But you could have put those 3 steps into this bill. And so why don't you do that? And that's a D.C. question right there, right? Well, why wasn't all of it in the bill?
Right. Well, you know what? You are so right. It was crony care from the start. All the cronies got protected. This was a corporatist type, like you said, spreadsheet bill. And then you're explaining this by my good friend and our good friend, and I love him to death, Morgan Griffith, getting on the line. And he has to spend 10 minutes walking us through Senate reconciliation, Byrd rules, arcane rules, why you can't do this and why you can't do that, and how this has got to be before tax cuts because of this rule in the Senate or that rule in the Senate. And Byrd said this in 1953. I mean, it just zoned everybody out. And I get what the congressman was saying, but it had zero appeal to anybody. And none of the themes that Trump ran out were in this bill, which is, you hit it on the head. That's why it failed so miserably.
Yeah, no, that's the big deal. And Newt Gingrich has been coming out, too. And we've left off the biggest statistic of all. I can't believe I didn't say it, but Newt said, right, you're trying to navigate this 1/6 of the economy in between the CBO score and then in between arcane Senate and House rules, like you just said. And then the week of the vote, the calls in my office are 700 against and 100 for, and the bill under Quinnipiac and the average of all the other polls, right? So I'm not trying to spin anyone. Go look them up. But the bill was polling at 17% positive.
Right.
Right? Why do you put a bill on the House floor that's polling at 17% positive?
Right.
And I think that's why there was the rush, right? Because people were seeing the polling numbers, and it's like, holy moly, guys, stop the train and let's get this thing right.
So phone calls to your office ran 90% no. Phone calls to my show for 2 weeks ran just about over that, about 95% no. I had a handful that were in favor of it. This is all means of communicating with me. Walter Jones was on Friday. He told me he got like the same thing, 600 calls no, like a handful in favor. I mean, this was just reality. And I got to tell you, Congressman Dave Brat, you look at, and I know you can't comment on this, but we look at your leadership and it's just not inspiring. I mean, they're just out of touch with what their rank and file people want. I mean, that's why they can't get anything done. I don't know what the answer is. But they're just out of touch, really.
And that, just so people know, right, the conservatives were not in at the beginning of the process. When the architecture 3 weeks ago, right, that thing was working its way, the bill itself, right, the principles, we were okay. Because we were being told a few months ago, hey, this is going to have major HSAs and block grants and all that. And so okay, great, man, we're heading towards free markets, right? So we'll compromise, right? If you want to take care of the pre-existing conditions and high risk, we'll compromise. As long as they were doing a good sales job. Then the bill comes out, right, that was in secret, no one could see the text, and holy moly, things changed right there. And that's the problem. And so we went from free markets to a federally mandated program, and that was it right there, right? If we would have been in the room for that, we would have said, hey, guys, I know you got a tough road to hoe here, but this is not, you cannot start with central planning and then promise free markets later. It doesn't work that way. You got to start with a clean repeal and free markets and then add on the safety net, which always gets bigger over time, right? So that. This bill, if we would have passed this bill, it would have gone over to the Senate and gotten even worse. And that's the case, right? Everything that comes out of the Senate gets weaker, not stronger in terms of conservative principles.
Well, it would have been interesting to see if you just repealed it with the promise that you were going to fix it and protect those that were getting insurance. All the things that we talked about, you can't kick 15 million people off on a day notice. It's just politically, it's untenable. You can't do it. I've been saying that since the thing started. But it would have been interesting if the repeal vote came up and it passed 50 times, who could justify now saying no when the actual vote mattered? Senate, same thing. Then the phase 2 and the phase 3 would have been how we're going to piece the replacement together for, as you mentioned, the safety net. But the thing what people wanted is they wanted two things. They wanted to protect the people on there now because that's how our society is. And they wanted to bring premiums down. This didn't either. That's why it was so ridiculous. Unbelievable. We're with Republican Congressman, 7th District, Virginia, Dr. Dave Brat. That is the Central Virginia area. And by the way, don't forget, Breakfast with Brat is going to be on Wednesday, April 5. I'm excited about it. It's with Trey Gowdy, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be there live broadcasting right outside the event, so you can come and meet me also. Now, this is all you have to do. For tickets, go to davebrat.com, davebrat.com, events, breakfast. Sign up, and you're good to go, davebrat.com. Congressman, so what's the next big agenda item now?
Well, we're not giving up on health care, right? I mean, we want to get back to a repeal bill, and we're willing to compromise on that. That's fine. We want Trump to get a big win on that, and he deserves it. And then we're going to do tax reform, and that's huge, and that's complex too. And there's some tension going already on that one. But we're all unified on wanting to get tax reform done. And so I hope everyone's learning from the process to get everybody on board up front, right? So there's no poison pills or a process that people can't go along with, and that's the key. And so there's plenty to do, all the regs. I mean, what's been great about President Trump, he's getting into the regs big time, right? He says his wrist is sore from signing so many bills to get rid of regulations. Mm-hmm. And then the health care bill, of course, did not do that. And so that's not the standard Trump, right? Trump's in there getting rid of all the regs, and then the health bill didn't do that. So I don't think he's happy with some of the guidance he got.
Like I was saying earlier, I think he got led down the primrose path. I think that's going to happen to him once. I don't think it's going to happen again. You know, we'll see how it plays out. But I've been fighting battles with him for a long time, and you know, he'll go with something once, and he'll get burned, and that's it. I think going forward, he'll take a different approach. So, Congressman Dave Brat, what happens with Obamacare? Does it implode, and then what happens?
Yeah, well, then we step up to the plate again and come in with another bill, and that's what President Trump has been saying. And, by the way, I mean, it is just curious to see how things flip politically, right? The House Freedom Caucus is getting thrown under the bus right now by everybody. Guess who was out for Trump leading the charge? About everyone in the House Freedom Caucus, right? And then I'm not getting into the politics, but all the guys that are throwing us under the bus were never Trumpers.
That's right.
And so, I mean, you can't make this stuff up, right? We all supported Mark Meadows as the chairman. He and his wife led buses after buses around the state in favor of Trump, and Trump knows it, right? And he's a loyal guy, and so he's being told we're hard to deal with. And it couldn't be further from the truth. We were all pro-Trump way before the rest came on board, way before.
Well, the blame game is going to start, and blaming the Freedom Caucus for standing for something and defeating a bad piece of legislation, which I said on CNN, if it passed, had the potential to sink the Trump presidency because less people were covered. Premiums were going up. Nothing bended down the cost curve. And I said, we'll never get to phase 3. It'll never happen. And it'll be a disaster. And then Trump owns it. The Republicans own it. Premiums are going up. People are kicked off. This thing was so ridiculous. You know what? I said this the other day. Those that are a little bit older like me remember a movie called The Producers with Zero Mostel. And the basis of the movie is they took 1,000 times the necessary investment and the play had to fail. So they're like, how do we get the worst play, worst screenplay, worst script, worst actors, worst director, worst theater, everything that worst, so it has to fail. This was like The Producers. I mean, they got the worst of everything in this. Unbelievable. Congressman, I got 2 minutes. Let's move on to Chairman Devin Nunes saying we might have some evidence here that Trump Tower under surveillance. I'm going to come out with it in the next several days. Then Adam Schiff goes crazy. What's the deal here?
Yeah, no, that's shocking new evidence that's in play, and I'm just going to wait for it all to come out, right? So we're not speculating. I don't like getting out over the skis. But it looks like what everyone thought ahead of time, right? There's these haystacks out there that are huge, And we all trust our intelligence agencies that they can be out probing for Russian spies and Chinese spies and Iranian spies, et cetera. And then the law says when they run into a civilian name, right, one of you or me, when they're out there probing in these giant data mining deals, by law, if they run into your name or my name or whatever, you are not allowed to mention that name, right? And so that unfortunately has been violated. Someone has been leaking some of that information. And so that there's some serious issues here, and I think we're going to get to the bottom of it.
All right. Well, it's going to be interesting to follow it. We're out of time. I want to thank Congressman Dr. Dave Brat for being with us and giving us that insight. And also, Congressman, thanks for standing firm. I know you came under a lot of fire. You absolutely made the right decision and did the right thing, and so we commend you for that. Now, you want to go to the third annual Breakfast with Brat with special guest Congressman Trey Gowdy. How fun is that? It's on April 5, and you're going to have a great time. I'm going to be there right outside the venue, so you can meet me, and we're going to get Dave on the air and perhaps Trey Gowdy on the air. It's going to be a lot of fun. Go to davebrat.com, events breakfast, and sign up. Congressman, I'll see you in D.C. and then on a week from Wednesday. Thank you, sir, so much.
Sounds great. Hey, John, and if folks want to sign up, I just wrote a lengthy newsletter that I want to go viral on the politics of what just happened. And so if people want to go out and sign up for my letter and then share that with all their friends, that'd be great.
davebrat.com.
You bet.
Thanks, Dave.